All right. 3, 2, 1. We are live. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the MLO Show. I'm Senior Mortgage Loan Officer Abel Perez, and I have a special guest today, the man, the myth, the legend here in Madera, the entrepreneur, Mr. Chris. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. How you doing?
Good, good. Let me throw up your tag right here so people know exactly what your name looks like here. So how you been?
Good, man.
Good. So, known you for some time now. We've shared some time golfing. We've shared some time in the gym. We've shared some time working and trying to provide home ownership for individuals. Some time hanging out.
Right.
So a lot of time spent there, and so I've gotten to know you as all of these different hats that you wear, right?
Yeah.
And so how big's your closet for all those hats that you wear, metaphorically speaking?
To be honest with you, man, sometimes I sit there and I wonder like why, like I feel like I bite off more than I could chew. But
Yeah.
if it's presented to me and I feel like I could do it,
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Because if I'm not the one doing it, somebody else is. So
Right.
if I feel like I could gain something from one way or another, I'm going to try to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I think what's cool about your plate is it's not filled with junk, right?
No.
Everything that you've done or everything that I've experienced that you've done, there's always a lot of passion behind it, right? And the average man, I guess you could say, would think, man, this guy lives the life, right? Like he's training all day, he's learning how to beat people up. He's working with clientele, showing them all of these, wonderful homes, all this great inventory here, kind of living that lifestyle. You just got yourself a Jaguar, so you're kind of cruising around. It seems like you're really doing whatever your heart is setting out to do, right?
Yeah, man. It's just like when I've had a lot of like close death experiences myself where I was in a really bad car accident over a decade ago, and just a lot of life trauma, and then I've always envisioned myself to be at a certain level. I'm not near where I want to be, and I don't try to proclaim that I'm a certain type of individual. I mean, you know me.
Yeah.
I'm very I'm not rich by any means or anything, but I live life to the fullest, or at least
Sure.
I try to. And again, it goes back to if I could do something, I'm going to do it. I mean, you mentioned the Jaguar, and everybody thinks I'm a big old baller or whatever because I have it. It goes, no, it's affordable. Like I was able to make the payment to
Yeah.
one of my dream cars, and I was blessed enough to pull the trigger on it.
That's awesome. Well, it is a beautiful car, and so I know you started your journey as just training MMA, right? So tell us a little bit about that transition between kind of training MMA and then becoming coach to owner, owner, coach, and mentor that you are today.
Well, I've always been an athlete. I've played soccer. As far as back as I remember, I used to wrestle when I was a kid. I mean, up to 8th grade, and I think just athletics was my. I mean, it's almost every kid's passion when they were little. I had dreams of becoming a professional football player as a kid, and I was like that same passion that I had about that as a kid. I feel like it's the same passion I have right now for the success that I want.
Yeah.
which I think is funny, but
Well, it's like the attitude or the mentality never changes. It's just the objective, right?
Yeah.
Or the goal. It's just something new in the crosshair.
Yeah, I wanted to be a professional athlete. I mean, and I have been. I mean, a professional only you become a professional the second somebody pays you to do it. I mean,
Right.
and I achieved that. So I mean, I'm a sponsored athlete. I have sponsors, and I realized that goal. I've been in sales. So back to your question, I've been in sales for roughly more than 20 years. I started right out of high school in the sales job, and I was good at it,
Right.
really good at it. Not that I have like this salesmanship. I just have one thing that I learned really young was people don't care what you sell. Like it doesn't matter. It's you're selling yourself.
Sure.
And I'm able to connect with people very, very easily. I don't BS around, like I don't beat around the bush. I go straight to the point. tell them what I'm about, and a lot of times it
Right.
ends up working out. I wear my heart on my sleeve, so
Yeah. You know, and there's a stereotype when somebody says, you know, oh, I'm a salesman, or when you say, oh, that guy's a salesman, there's usually a stereotype like, oh, they're sleazy, they're grimy,
Yeah.
they're going to tell you whatever you want to hear, but you can't be that a good salesman for 20 years. You can't have 20 years of experience and still be doing sales if that's the type of person that
Yeah.
you are, right? So anytime I hear somebody say, you know, I've done sales for 5 years or more, you know, it's a testimony that, yeah, you are good at it.
Yeah.
Right. And not only are you good at it, but how are you good at it? You understand people,
Yeah.
and you're relatable to people, and you identify needs, all of those things. And so that's pretty neat. So, you know, so you find yourself, you're doing some sales, things like that. And where does the MMA come into all this?
So, I mean, I think during the early 2000s, the whole MMA craze, you know, took the world by storm. I've always been a boxing fan growing up. You know, most Hispanic cultures, I mean,
Yeah.
they all remember boxing.
Cesar Chavez,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Oscar De La Hoya's, and
Yeah, boxing was a thing back then, and there was just something about MMA that caught my eye, and I remember I got pretty big, so I was always athletic, and I got pretty hefty. You know, 2 kids, a mortgage, salesman, like you know,
Pressures of a salesman,
Yeah, pressure
yeah.
of a salesman. So one day, I think somebody called me fat, and I was just like, "What the heck?" I mean, I'm still fluffy, but like it's not where I was. And then I was like, you know. Somebody just said somebody calls you fat, it's probably because you are.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, all right, I need to get in the gym. And I've always hated the traditional gym aspect of it,
Right.
coming from like the type of athlete I was. It was more like cardio based and more like of the grind.
Right. Explosive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just I signed up for a class here in Madera, and next thing you know, it was just a whirlwind effect. It was like a year or two later, I got really good really fast just because of my I'm so passionate about everything I do, and you know, got my whole family involved. And next thing you know, I'm coaching. I'm coaching, which I've started coaching my son as a goalkeeper. I mean, shout out to Isaiah. UCSD.
Yeah, he's out there doing his thing in college.
Yeah,
now, so.
so I've nurtured him in playing goalkeeper since he could walk, and just me knowing what it takes to become good. I just transitioned over to become a soccer coach, and then from there, you know, me and my partner there were really successful as youth traveling soccer team, and we were passionate about that for a number of years. And you know, we won championships there, and then I know the level it takes to become a champion.
Yeah.
And the work, the dedication, and what it takes.
Oh, yeah.
So that transitioned over to MMA. I started coaching MMA. You know, that's when I started pursuing me fighting and competing. I did all that. You know, that was crazy part of my life. I mean, yeah. And then from there, I just started. I got the opportunity to start my own gym, and you know, like anything, like like I said, mentioned earlier, that if I saw the opportunity, if the opportunity presents itself to me, and I feel like I could do it,
Yeah.
you know, I'm very driven to pursue that.
Absolutely.
To pursue that. So I took full advantage of it, and you know, we're now here 6 years later, about to open up a 6,200 square foot facility in Madera.
Nice. Nice. I mean, and I've obviously I've attended some of your classes. I've seen, you know, I've taken my son to your youth classes. Just a huge following, and you know, I think the stigma that UFC or MMA has is, you know, it's brutal. It's, you know,
It is.
It's like you're in like you're a gladiator, things like that, right? But what I was most impressed with is, you know, from the youth level, the transition and all of the discipline that goes
Yeah.
into it. Safety first sort of, you know,
Yeah.
mentality where you have to know what you're doing. You're not just going in there brawling It's not a group of coaches just kind of, placing bets on the kids
No.
as they're fighting, right? So yeah, it made me as a parent feel very comfortable, very safe. And then of course, as a somebody who trains very very lightly, right? I haven't been attending classes, over the last 6 months, but when I was, it's a whole world, it's a whole culture, and you just kind of get lost in it.
Yeah.
And what I liked about it, and almost what everybody, most people are just like they're your teachers or your career people. They're just people that are like everyday individuals, right? And I think what I really gravitated to was like when you're in there, you have to be in the moment. Because if you're not, you're gonna get choked out or knocked out, right?
It's literally that, man. It's literally that. So one thing that you get taught, that you get taught that you gotta find, in order to center yourself and to find balance, like to help you find balance, you have to find things that will make you become in the moment. Like us right now, we're in the moment.
Right.
We're right here. We're not really thinking of outside stuff.
Can't check your phone. Can't do all that.
We can't do all that, and it's the same thing when you're in there and you're training. It's a lot of in the moment things. You're in the loop that kind of it kind of makes life like kind of surreal. Because for that hour or hour and a half, whatever it may be, we're in, like, nothing else matters but in those four walls, which I think it's amazing. I mean,
between that whole concept, being in the moment, you don't have time or the flexibility to focus on anything else, because if you don't, there's consequences, right? There's somebody else who, if they're in the moment more than you are, they're going to beat you.
Oh,
right?
yeah, 100%.
And another thing with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is there's all of these little details that matter, right? And it's always like witchcraft, right? And it's like, no, don't hold this way, hold this way, or turn your wrist this way, and it's like, what? That's so goofy, right?
I call it witchery.
Yeah, it is super insane. So when I take those two concepts, right, the attention to details that's required, the focus, all of that drive. How has that made you or translated over to your career as a real estate agent?
So, real estate, I always felt, was like the pinnacle of all sales jobs. I mean, there's insurance, there's you do loans, but I feel like we're in the same field, same industry. But home sales, no matter what, at the end of the day, it's still selling ourselves. We're the product. We could try to get people into a home, but if people don't feel comfortable working with us, or for whatever reason, they're not going to.
Everybody knows 3 or 4 realtors, right? So it's easy for somebody to just pick up the phone and say, "Oh, you're a realtor, help me." But that's not what happens. People need to feel that comfort, and they need to know that this is my person. This guy's for real, or this woman's for real, right? This realtor is going to help me. They're the true professional in their craft.
Yeah,
right?
almost. I want to say like 85, maybe 75% of all my transactions I've done thus far. I mean, in the year and a half I've been in real estate, they've all probably came from one way or another through martial arts, through the people I interact with, just because I think they have that level of trust with me already, and they know that the type of guy I am. Like, I'm not going to try to lead them one way or another. Ultimately my best interest is always to better that person. Yeah. So even in the gym, right? Like, so in the gym, when somebody walks in, when somebody walks in, I always, that person needs to leave. Even if they show up for one class, they need to leave that one class. Like, if they just show up one day and never come back, which happens a lot, they need to leave my presence a little bit better.
Yeah.
If they live with some kind of negativity in their head or something, I didn't do my job right.
Right.
So it's kind of the same way. I try to take that to transition over to real estate.
Yeah.
And it works out, because I mean, still have connections where I run into people in like in the grocery store,
Right.
and they'll mention that, like, "Hey, I heard you're doing real estate now," and they'll start
Right.
because they already have that trust with me.
Yeah, you built that credibility for sure. Now, I know that real estate agents often. Yeah, I used to joke with real estate agent friends, and I'd say, "Man, all you do is open the door and show the house, right? Or all you do is the fun stuff. You show everything. I'm the one doing all the numbers and
Yeah.
trying to figure this out, right?" But that couldn't be further from the truth. Real estate agents aren't just opening the doors and showing the beautiful house. They're coming up with solutions. They're doing all of these things, right? You're really mentoring and coaching these real estate or these clients of yours through real estate. Is there a difference between coaching somebody in MMA and coaching somebody in real estate and throughout their home purchase or whatever the case may be?
I think coaching in general is just coaching. I mean, the amount of so there's a bring up jujitsu again. Like, there's a saying that you're gonna forget more than you would remember, right? So like, there's so much information we feed our clients, for example, and there's so much every day. I teach something new. Every day there's something. Every time you step on the mat, you teach something new. When I coached soccer, there was something new that I had to teach. Even if it was like I'm teaching a group of people, but this one person that I'm dealing with has one particular problem.
Right.
One person might get it faster than the other person. So you have to be patient, you have to be able to adjust, and you have to be able to work with your weakest link. You have to be able to still nurture your strongest link, because they'll get bored, or they'll think they're not getting the attention they deserve because you don't give enough attention to other ones. So I feel like the more amount of coaching there's not enough information you could give them.
Right.
And sometimes you have to repeat the same information over and over and over. But that's where the coaching standpoint comes in. That's where, like, me as a parent, I have two kids. You have sometimes, like, dude, how many times have I told you that? How many times have I told you that? I mean, me and you've gone golfing, right?
Right.
And the world knows how terrible I am and how good you are, but
I'm not that good. No.
But how many times have you told me, Chris, keep your head down?
Yeah.
Chris, dude, like, it's the same thing, but it's constant.
Chris, stop trying to crush the ball into dust.
Yeah.
You're strong enough, just naturally let the club do the work. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, that's good. And with real estate, I like how you mentioned, there's going to be your clients who, great credit scores, they have the down payment money, credit, employment histories all on point, right? They come in, they have a little bit of background, they have knowledge. Maybe they don't need so much coddling, and
we call those A+ clients.
And it's slam dunk, right? You go in, you get the house, and your biggest worry at that point is negotiating the best terms and making sure that we get the biggest bang for their buck, right? But then, of course, we have clientele that they've had some bumps and they have obstacles along the way to get to this point. They've worked really hard though, and there's just a few hurdles that they have to get over, right? And it's still, it doesn't mean that you say, "Oh, you're a weak link, I'm cutting you off," right? Just like in the gym, you wouldn't say, "Oh, you're a weak link, you can't train here," right? This ain't Cobra Kai or whatever the case may be, right? It's, how do we get that person up to par so that they're able to play ball as well? Now that conversation might be different because they have obstacles and very basic things that they need to get over. The conversations, the information you feed might be different than, let's say, that individual who's already ready to go. Maybe now they have more options. On the loan side, I deal with that all the time where, individuals, they'll say, what about the down payment assistant programs? What about these investor programs, all this stuff? And there's some clients that, again, they qualify all the way up to all of those options. And it's like, okay, what option do you want? What option makes sense? But then there's several individuals that come, they have that mentality at first, but you got to slow them down and say, okay, in order to get to that point, here are the things that we need to do, right? Here's your roadmap to get to that point. And even though they may qualify for a home, it's not the terms or the loan program that they were hoping for. So now it's like, all right, we got to go into coach and mentor mode in order to put a game plan together to get you to that point, right? Yeah. So cool. Well, I will say this. I got a question for you. Is it harder to coach a first-time home buyer or a day one white belt in jiu-jitsu?
So you mentioned like there's different type of clients.
Yeah.
There's different type of athletes too. I mean, and there's just for type of people. I've had people that have never played a sport in their life. Like we just promoted Claudia to she's a female, never did any sports, never did anything, and then she just one day said, "I'm going to try jiu-jitsu." She's in her 30s, and you know full career, college educated, college graduate, and just said one day I'm going to try jiu-jitsu. I want to challenge myself.
Yeah.
She just got her blue belt after 2 years, and when she came to me, no athletic ability, no nothing, but
Right.
she had the right attitude. She tried.
Right.
And then you have these guys straight out of high school wrestling, and you're just like, oh man, this guy's going to be winning tournaments in two
Yeah.
in 2 months.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So it goes based off your how you said, your qualified buyers.
Yeah. What did you do leading up to that point?
Yeah.
Right?
You have guys that are, the A+ clients, and then you have guys who are like, hey, we're gonna have to nourish you for a couple months. This
Yeah.
is what we need. Your score's not where it needs to be, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But like I tell everybody, that it's the people that don't give up, and it's the people that don't quit, or the people that become good. I'm not the best. I am not the best. I am not by far not the best coach, like the best coach, the best jiu-jitsu guy. You'll never hear me say that in my class. But the only difference is I haven't quit yet. And
Right.
I'm a student myself. I'm still learning, and it's the same thing in real estate. I don't know it all. I'm going to. If there's a hurdle that we need to get over, and there's a question that I don't know the answer to, I'm going to find out. We'll do our homework and figure it out.
Absolutely.
So it's the same. If you say if it's easier to teach for me it's the same, because we still have to do our due diligence for each one.
And identify what that person brings to the table,
Yeah.
and then peel back those layers on that point. And I that's a great point. Like the rankings in jiu-jitsu. So there's only 4 of them, right?
It's 5.
Five belts, including the
black.
white belt. Everybody starts white, and then you have the opportunity to promote 4 times from there. And perfect example. You get somebody with no athletic ability. Well, not that there's no athletic ability, but no athletic background. Doesn't really fit the characteristics of somebody you think that would progress into jiu-jitsu. But 2 years later, there they are. They have their blue belt. I got exposed to jiu-jitsu 2 years ago. Inconsistent, didn't show, not showing up here and there, and I probably think that, oh man, I'm better than that person, whatever the case may be. But they put in the work, right? They put in the time, and I think buying a home that's like
Same thing.
Perfectly well thought like that, right? You can have 2 people. You may have a much better job than somebody, make way more money than them, but let's say your credit's not there, right? That person may say, all right, another person next to you with making less money may say, I'm gonna save money and I'm gonna pay off debt and I'm gonna improve my credit score. If you say, I'm good, I'm just gonna, keep making it rain and, just living my life and not really focusing on my credit score, a year from now, that person's buying a house, you're not. And you're like, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened? Well, there's things that you need to do consistently in order to achieve that, right?
There's one thing I do want to say. I think if you could afford it, affordability is the most important thing. But if you're using the number one excuse I always hear, and it freaking drives me nuts, is I have to work on my credit. I was like, well, have you talked to anybody?
Right.
Have you done it? Oh no, it's just, well, then how do you know where you're at? How do you know what needs to get done? Like, that is my biggest pet peeve in the world.
And there's multiple conversations that need to happen when it comes to credit too. One, speak with the lender. Call me. We'll evaluate your credit and we'll put together a game plan. But there's also professionals in fixing credit, repair credit. Credit repair companies that will consult you and get you to that next level. Trust me when I say this: the credit bureaus aren't going to fix your credit for you, and they're not going to rush to fix it. So even if you're making your payments on time for the 2-3 months straight, and you feel like you should miraculously have good credit, it's not going to happen. You have to address the marks and the negativity that was on your score.
I could tell you guys from my experience. I lost my home in 2008 during the recession. You know, I like I said, I've always been in sales. So when the market crashed, the first people that hurt is the
salespeople,
the
yeah.
salespeople that work 100% commission. But 3 years later, I was able to my credit. Like, can you imagine where my credit score was at?
Yeah,
After that,
Right.
So I was determined to buy another home, and then within 3 years, I bought my next home. Like, I rented for a little while. We ate ramen for a little bit,
Yeah.
and
You know, and I will say, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, man, 3 years to fix your credit, I can guarantee the credit score was there a lot sooner than that. But the 3 years is typically the requirement for conventional or FHA loans,
Yeah.
right? They say, well, you foreclosed on a home, so you have to wait this time out, right? So regardless of what your credit is, so you definitely don't want to wait that 3 years and then start working on your credit.
No.
Do what Chris did. Start working on the credit, set that goal so that as soon as that time, that 36 months expires and you're no longer restricted from utilizing an FHA or conventional loan, you're able to acquire a home and your credit score is already healthy.
Yeah.
There's no other.
yeah, if you're determined to buy a home, like it's the same thing. It's just the same as anything. If you're whatever you put your mindset to it, you put your mind to it, and you'll be amazed what you could accomplish.
Yeah.
Especially owning a home. For me, I think for me personally, your number one goal is to own a home. It's like straight out, like you should own a home. If you're comfortable living in an apartment and I mean that's fine. But if you're talking about, like, financial wealth or setting up your family, setting up your kids, if you have those conversations with people or those thoughts come in your mind, the number one thing you should worry about is owning a home. That's just me.
I would agree. Now, Chris, I'm going to put you on the spot here because I know you're a mixed martial art guy, advocate, and you're a coach, and you have your gym. What would you say is more important, home ownership or training in martial arts?
I just said it. Home ownership.
Yeah.
Home ownership for me is by far number one. Number two, not even if it's martial arts, if it's get a hobby. Do not
Push yourself, right?
Yeah.
Push yourself to learn something.
Like, binge watching Netflix should not be a hobby. Find a hobby. Get your home first. If it's working in your home, like, start a garden. Do bonsais. I don't recommend do bonsais, but it'll break your heart. But do something that requires you to go outside of your house once you get it.
Yeah, there's all the sayings, right? Home is where the heart is. Home is the foundation, right? And new year, new me. We're in that time right now, January. We just got through the new year, and everybody's goal setting and saying, all right, let's start fresh. Let's start from the beginning. And I love that. I love the new energy, all the boost that you see out there, and I really encourage people to really start setting those goals. And but for myself, my goal has been, how do I get myself back into the gym, right? And so if you were going to say gym, I was going to try to combat you a little bit and say home ownership for me represents a financial stability.
Yeah.
Right. It represents a plan for your finances, and I think finances for majority of people, 99% of people, are the biggest contributors to stress. Right.
It is.
And if you're not stable there, how could you possibly take an hour and a half or 2 hours in the evening time and go train and do all these things if you can't pay your bills, you can't do this, you're drowning, you need to stay work after hours so that you can make up and catch up, right? And so I think the people that there's a reason why a lot of the people who do jiu-jitsu, especially the older people, are typically really well off. They're very stable. They have homes, they have careers, they're, things of that nature. You hear a lot of, doctors and lawyers and all these big, huge business professionals training things like jiu-jitsu because it's so complementary to somebody who has a stable life, right?
So, a lot of times in jujitsu, it's kind of like it's chaos. It's pure chaos. Like it's like there's different metaphors on what they say. It's like solving a Rubik's cube with your clothes. It's like solving a human Rubik's cube with pajamas on. It's like it's my favorite one is struggle struggle cuddling.
Yeah.
But there's so many metaphors in not just. I mean, we also do Muay Thai in there too, and wrestling and boxing, but they're all more just everything in there is just a challenge. And a lot of times, what I find is the people that are in there are people that have challenged themselves outside of outside of it, whether or overcame something very difficult. You mentioned it earlier. We've had all walks of life in there. Like I guarantee you, you would not. And not to throw anybody off, but we have former criminals in there, all the way up to lawyers, all the way up to doctors, all the way up to police department individuals. We have sheriffs in there, correctional officers in there, and we're all on the same mat. We're all rolling with each other. We're all training with each other. And there's times that we have normal conversations. And I guarantee you, a lot of these people would have never interacted any other way outside of it.
Yeah, it's that unity that brought everybody together.
It's a beautiful thing.
That's awesome. Well, Chris, I want to thank you for your time today. Really sharing, your background with us, and really helping putting perspective, your kind of, I guess your mindset when it comes to anything that you do. We have you listed here as an entrepreneur. I know you as Coach Chris. I know you as Realtor Chris, and those are the two pieces that I think I share. Two pieces of your career, or two of your careers, or the hats that you wear that I share the most. I do enjoy when you put on the Titleist hat and we go golfing. So California's been experiencing some floods lately, so that's put a halt to that. The greens are more like oceans right now. So, but anyway, Chris, thank you so much, and let the people know how they can get a hold of you, and for any real estate needs.
So you can follow me on Instagram, Coach Christopher Estate, or call me at 559-706-4970. We're Madera Martial Arts relocating to 325 North Pine Street. Same phone number if you guys want to reach out and try that out. But thanks, Abel. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Chris. Appreciate it, my friend. Take care. Hey, reach out to Chris for all real estate needs, or if you want to learn how to defend yourself or blow off some steam, hit up his gyms. Thank you. Take care. Thanks for watching.